Okay, welcome everyone. We'll get started. I just wanted to give everyone a couple of more minutes to log in, but we have a decent amount of people in the room now, so we'll kick off. Welcome everyone to today's session, introducing our broader reseller community to a key vendor of ours that we have, SOTI, a leading technology company creating innovative mobility solutions to enterprise customers. For those of you who don't know me or haven't attended one of our events previously, my name's Craig Thompson. I'm the Channel Marketing Manager at Wavelink, and I'm joined today by Michael Dyson, Managing Director of SOTI, overseeing the ANZ region, as well as Southeast Asia and China. Quickly before we get started, I just wanted to let everyone know to remember to put any questions you do have in the chat box provided, and we'll answer them in a Q&A at the end of the session. We're also recording today's event, so you'll be able to share this with your team afterwards, and we'll circulate that in a follow-up email. Before handing over to Michael, I thought it best to give a quick snapshot of our partnership with SOTI. Wavelink partnered with SOTI around about 3 years ago with the desired effect to bring enhanced smart devices to our reseller network as part of a tailor-made holistic solution. SOTI's ability to give users remote access and control, as well as capabilities with geofencing, allowed us to provide a differentiated solution to the market, unlike anything we'd really ever done before. This has in turn resulted in huge success for both our companies, namely with large-scale projects within leading Australian healthcare facilities and networks. The aim for today's event is to bring light to the SOTI service offering, namely around their amazing product SOTI One, in the hopes that we can kickstart some conversations with our resellers in verticals that we might not be talking to them about. With that being said, I will gladly now hand over to Michael. Michael, over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Craig, much appreciated, and welcome to all who've joined, and thank you for taking the time this morning. My role, as Craig said, is as Managing Director of Australia, New Zealand and Southeast Asia through to Greater China as well. So it's a busy time, and the SOTI APAC community stretches right through. We've got teams in Japan and India as well. The work we've been doing with SpectraLink over the last couple of years has been fantastic and beneficial to both parties. And probably more importantly to everyone on the call who is obviously from the partner community, I think it's been really, really beneficial to the partners as well, which is a real key driver, because our platform and the SpectraLink products provide solutions that allow you to wrap good services around them and create good revenue streams, as well as making you as a partner for the customers a very sticky organisation, because the solutions are long and ongoing. A little bit of background about SOTI for those people who are unfamiliar with the company, and I'll be as brief as I can on the quote corporate slides, but I do need to give those people who are unfamiliar with SOTI just a little bit of background. 100 consecutive quarters of profitability means 25 years, and that ticked over last quarter. So it's a company that's been around for a long time, started by the owner, founder and CEO who started in his basement in Canada. It's a Canadian-based company, but 93% of revenues are from overseas and across the world, and we've got teams in many countries around the world. The organisation's head office for this region is based out of Melbourne, and we're in Nexus Court in Mulgrave, and when eventually we're all allowed to go back to the office, you would be more than welcome to come and say good day. But we've got offices all over the world. Our team, though, from a support point of view in this region, we have over 30 in Australia. We have sales engineers, professional services people. We have our technical support in terms of the help desk side of things, and a number of other parts of our organisation, all based here in Australia. So our support is, we believe, the best in the market, both pre and post sales. And we'd encourage you to test us on that. For what we do, it's really, really important that we're there to help you and your customers have a great experience in deploying technology. Just some of our customers from around the world. You look at the automotive industry, and the manufacturing part of the automotive industry is a very large part of our business. You look at things like airlines, and obviously at the moment that is an extremely challenging area, but we've got over 120,000 users at American Airlines alone. Other organisations such as people like Home Delivery, you might have heard of Delivery Hero, a German-based company who have more than 500,000 licenses of SOTI Mobi control, running over 500,000 devices, obviously, all over the world. So a very large organisation and growing. We've got partners across the world in hardware vendors, including the guys at SpectraLink, as Craig mentioned, and we certify the SpectraLink Versity devices, and that's where we've had a great deal of success we'll talk about. But more broadly, we have the capacity to do a whole range of things across a range of platforms, operating systems and devices. In Australia and in the Asia Pacific market, some of our biggest customers, as Craig alluded to, in the health space, we've worked with ACT, we've worked with Royal Children's, we've worked with many others in that space. Organisations such as Australia Post. Australia Post has some 37,000 licences of SOTI Mobi control running all their mobile devices in the field. Organisations as big as Coles, I think we're approaching 20,000 devices through the Coles network, and many other significant organisations across health, retail and transportation. There really isn't a major transportation organisation in Australia who doesn't use SOTI, whether it's Linfox or Toll or Mainfreight or Freightways. They're all SOTI partners and customers. What is SOTI One? And SOTI has been around, as I said, for 25 years, and it was built on the backbone of a mobile device management product, which was originally called Pocket Controller, but about 2002 or 3, it became SOTI Mobi Control. So as you can see, SOTI Mobi Control is a part of what we now call the SOTI One platform. Mobi Control as the backbone and the basis for the product set is the mobile device management core, and having the capacity to manage and see everything on a mobile device is critical, even more so in today's world. But let me take you around the circle super quickly and explain the logic of the SOTI One platform. When you go out to start doing a mobility deployment, the reason you do that is to provide the field users or the users in your organisation with the ability to complete and to access applications they need to do their job. So we've now developed a product called SOTI Snap, which is a rapid application development tool that enables you, without any coding, without the need for employing a developer, to create form-based applications and applications that will allow you to rapidly deploy applications to your users in the field so that they can do their job better, do their job more capably, and also be able to ensure that those forms, that data, take away, if you will, every paper-based piece of work that they've had to do in the field and digitize it. If you've got these applications on whatever your choice of device is, and that choice of device may be for any of the operating systems, then you need to be able to manage them, to support them, to deploy them, to update them, to secure them, to remote control them, and that's Mobi Control, and I'll talk at length about Mobi Control today. SOTI Assist then, when you've got an issue with a device or you've got an issue that a user's having in the field and it's a problem, SOTI Assist is the diagnostic help desk that allows you to fix that problem quickly, to address that problem quickly, to ensure that you reduce any loss in productivity due to a failed device or a device problem or challenge, whether it's the application that's the problem or the device itself. The next circle, SOTI Insight, is a business intelligence tool that tells you, okay, are my users using the applications that we've asked them to use in the field? I'd like to know what users are using what applications and to what extent. And so the business intelligence that Insight can provide around application usage, network, battery usage, battery life cycles, and a range of other things is a really incredibly useful business intelligence tool. SOTI Identity is our single sign-on to the SOTI world. So it's not a single sign-on in the broad sense. What it is, though, it brings you into SOTI One platform, and then you can access all of your SOTI One products coming in through your SOTI Identity. So you have a very secure portal to get into, if you will, the SOTI world, SOTI One platform. And finally, SOTI Connect IoT. So we have the ability to manage also not just handheld tablets and Android devices and Windows devices and all of those things, but we now have through SOTI Connect the ability to manage things like printers. So in a hospital setting or a warehouse setting, there may be a network connected printer from the likes of SATA or Brother or Epson or Zebra or Honeywell. And SOTI Connect provides the ability to manage those printers in that environment. And again, all living inside that SOTI One world. SOTI Central is not a product. SOTI Central is our collaboration tool. And any of our partners and customers can go on there and ask questions. And it's the community of SOTI, if you will, where lots of information is shared over time. And that information is often answered by some of our great partners around the world. We've got a great partner of ours in Hong Kong, Ray, who I think he answers more questions than any of our team, and he spends a lot of time on the SOTI Central portal. So what is it all about? In terms of the importance of it, managing the complete mobile device and IoT lifecycle encompasses a whole range of things. But the SOTI One platform is about giving the capacity for an organisation to collect data, to track their assets, to diagnose their problems from multiple endpoints, regardless of what it is. We've got, as I mentioned, the capacity to provide a rapid application development tool. All of this information and data that's flying around must be secured. It's said that some of the weakest points of connectivity to a network and many of the cyber attacks and challenges that are happening could be happening very easily through any device that can connect to your network and is allowed to have access. You must now manage any device connected to your network or the organisation's network. And specifically in the health space, this is an enormous issue. Patient data security is a massive issue, and people must be aware that every device that can connect to the network is managed, every device is secure, and the organisation can be confident that that won't allow a cyber breach to occur. We can help assist organisations in rapidly provisioning devices and putting them into the hands of the users in the most seamless way possible. And also, as I mentioned, identity management, ensuring that users are allowed to access what they need to access and only what the organisation allows them to access in a secure manner based from their identity. So we have the capacity to do things like integration with Active Directory and those sort of things to ensure that one user can use one device, but it may be another user uses the same device in a different mode. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. We have the broadest device support in terms of both operating system and form factor of any product on the market today. We support a lot of old Windows CE devices, Windows mobile devices, particularly in warehouses across Asia, where those devices are still the dominant product. And indeed, many parts of the world, there still are. We support Linux-based devices, such as RFID scanners that are Linux-based. We support tablets from iOS, from Android and Windows devices. We support smartphones of all description. And we can even support now some of the Dyson products from Samsung in their watches. So there's a very broad range of products, whether they're point of sale, headsets, signage, kiosks, tablets, phones. Organisations love to have the idea of having one single, simple platform, the one place they go to manage all of their connected devices. That is the SOTI One platform. So let me focus on SOTI Mobi Control. As I said, this has been the core of our business for a very, very long time. And where is Mobi Control different from other platforms that people may have used? There's plenty of mobile device management platforms out there, and a lot of people work with different organisations' platforms. But where is our differentiator? And that's what's really key. And that is that we have absolutely unquestionably the industry's leading remote support. So the ability for someone using the SOTI Mobi Control platform to remotely see and actually take action on a device that's in the field, we can remotely manage and remote support and remote control any device from Android or Windows or Linux or Mac OS or Windows CE. And so the user can actually have certainty that the problem they're having in the field can be both seen and attended to by the remote support person using the Mobi Control. Our remote support is second to none. We also have remote view for iOS, so we can see exactly what's happening on the screen, but iOS's limitations mean that we need to instruct the user what they need to do to fix the problem rather than remote controlling it. That's an iOS factor. Live location and advanced geofencing information, the ability to know where your devices are, be able to see on one page exactly where all your devices are, be able to see those that are connected now, those that weren't connected for the last hour, or those that weren't connected for the last week, being able to have all of that information and live location data about your organisation's devices or the company's organisation's devices, and being able to take actions based on those locations. So I've got a device in a hospital, and that device really shouldn't leave this hospital. If we set up a geofence around the facility and the device leaves that geofence, we could make the device turn into a brick. We could make a message come up on the scene saying nicely, please return the device. We could limit the applications available. We could allow additional applications to become available because that device is allowed to leave. But we can set up advanced geofencing all because we have live location capabilities. And our geofencing is not just circular or a radius-based geofencing, but it's polygon-based. We can draw any shape or any size. So you can literally draw a border around a facility. And one of the examples that I use here is we had an organisation come to us with a mining company, and they said that they had a problem because they had explosives on the site, and they didn't want people walking on with unmanaged devices. They wanted to ensure that they didn't have any interference between Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, 4G, when the person was walking onto the site where there was all the explosives and detonators. So we simply put a geofence around the site, and all of those functionalities turned off when the user entered the site. The device had an integrated GPS, so it didn't need even to have connectivity because the GPS told the device where it was, and our agent sitting on the device disabled those functions. That sort of capability is unique to SOTI. And when the device left that area, the GPS detected it was leaving and a message came up on the screen, would you like to turn your 4G, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi back on? Multi-user shared mode device is also a very, very big use case, particularly in health, but also warehousing and distribution centres where many people are using a pool of devices. The critical part here is the ability to be able to have different users, have different experiences on the same device, using the ability to have a shared device mode. So we can create different capabilities. And this might be, we often do this with integration through Active Directory, as I mentioned earlier, or it might be through integration with the single sign-on platform they're using. All of our solutions are built for mission and business critical applications. Where in today's world, being able to support a user without having to physically get the device back, with being able to keep them in the field doing their job, that's where SOTI really, really is at its strongest. And if you look at our clients who are diversely spread geographically across the world and in all sorts of areas with all sorts of different devices, mission and business critical is where we absolutely excel. The other thing I want to touch on is the way we do our kiosk mode. So locking a device down so that it has access to only limited applications, the applications we want the user to use, but not access to the applications we don't want them using in a work environment, is really key. And that's how our HTML kiosk mode provides the capability to be able to lock that device down and applications to be limited, and the screen will just have maybe 4 or 5 applications or however many the organization wants the user to have. But because of the way we do it, our capability also allows us to limit applications based on the speed at which that Android device is traveling. And let me stress here, the speed control I'm speaking of is Android related, because it's very important if you've put a device in a vehicle that you take responsibility for driver distraction. One of the things that's become really, really prevalent of recent times is the fact that the law says that distracted driving is a problem, and that the law also says vehicles are a workplace. If people are using a device in a vehicle and an organisation has given devices to their field crews, staff, contractors, and they're in the vehicle and using those devices, on an Android solution, we have the capacity, as I said, to detect the speed at which that device is travelling and block applications when, for example, the device gets to a speed of 10 or 15 or 20 kilometres an hour. And then it reverts back to normal operation when it gets below the set speed. So being able to physically stop distracted driving in a transport and logistics, or even in a utility or any organisation who's got drivers, it might be a home nursing situation where nurses are driving to their home, to people's homes. But having a device in a vehicle means that the organisation should take responsibility for how that device is used, and our solution can provide that. No other solution can do this. So that's a very brief overview of Mobi Control. SOTI Assist, which is fully integrated with Mobi Control, provides a complete mobile-first diagnostic help desk. And I'm going to show you physically through this presentation exactly how it works, so I won't go into it at great depth. But suffice to say, we're able to log into the device, access the device, turn on the video and the audio if we need to on the device with permissions, depending on the structure of your authorities that you provide. We're able to whiteboard and annotate on the device, capture a device snapshot or logs through our SOTI Assist platform. All of these things are only about for one reason, and that is to make the user's experience in the field when they have a problem as seamless and as fast to repair that problem as possible. The other critical thing is we can have one SOTI Assist platform connected to multiple instances of Mobi Control, our mobile device management. And that's very important because you might have an organisation who has 10 entities around the world or 10 entities around Australia, and they want to run separate Mobi controls for each of those for reasons that they might have different hospitals whilst they're in one group. They might be 10 different hospitals in that group, and we want to run a different instance for each hospital for all sorts of reasons. But we could have one SOTI Assist with the right authorities accessing all of those Mobi control instances. It's a very important feature. The last one I'm going to talk about today, there was a lot more circles on that big circle, as you can see, but the last one I'm going to talk about at the length today is SOTI Snap. If you will, imagine the situation where you want to take all your paper-based forms, as I said, and you want to digitize them. You want users to be able to complete them in the field, and you want to be able to have instantaneous knowledge that that's been completed, by whom, when it was completed, where it was completed. By integration with Mobi Control, we can also know where it was completed, and we can apply logic to this application development as well, all without having one developer ever walk in the room. And we can teach you all of these things, and I'm more than happy to take you, all of these partners, all of you, the people on the call, and anybody else who wants to, through a full detailed demonstration. But today I'm just going to touch on a few points and show you physically what we're talking about. So with that, what it's all about is being able to not only deploy it faster and make it work better for the user and create profiles on devices that make the experience for the user better and more secure, but it's also about being able to fix it faster. So I'm just going to take you through a little role play for a second here that just explains the traditional, and I'll explain my background and why I think this is a really important thing. Imagine, if you will, that the user in the field for Rocket Fruit Company, Rocket Co, as you can see on his shirt, is on his bib, is having a problem with the application in the field, and he's basically wanting to know and wanting to understand exactly how to fix that problem. So he calls the help desk. He makes a phone call to the help desk, and the help desk endeavours to try and help him through the questions and ask him all those usual questions that you would ask as a help desk. What were you doing at the time? What application were you running? What device is it? What's the serial number? And all of those questions go on for quite some time. As it happens, in this instance, the man from Rocket Fruit Company is having a challenge with an application called the Rocket Fruit Stand. And so that's the application he's having the problem with. And we'll talk about that in a second. So what happens next is the help desk operator starts typing in the details, and the end user's still standing there talking to himself or talking to no one while he waits for all of that information to be typed into the system and a ticket created to assist that user in the field. Now, I ran an organisation that was responsible for the non-emergency help desk for Ambulance Victoria for 2 years. The reality is the experience I've just spoken about is exactly our experience. Users in the field using a device that's had a problem, we ask a number of set questions, we try and get to the bottom of the solution. You know, we might suggest they try and reset their password themselves, we might suggest a number of things, but at the end of the day, a significant percentage, and it can be upwards of 60 or 70% of those devices end up having to be swapped out and swapped over. An enormously onerous and slow process that wastes amazing amounts of time and is incredibly poor for the productivity of the organisation. Imagine, if you will, that instead of having to swap the device over, or instead of having to come back to them on a ticket we've created later, imagine, if you will, I'm now going to remote control into this guy's device, and I'm going to try and sort out what the problem is, and I'm going to try and fix it. With remote control within SOTI Mobi Control, we can physically, as you can see here, take control of the device, we can see what's going on, and we can see that there's a problem once we get into the application. So I mentioned to you before that the user told us he's using an application, and it's an application inside the SOTI Snap platform. It's called the rocket fruit stand. And so we know that his problem is occurring in the rocket fruit stand application. So once we click on rocket fruit stand, it doesn't take us a long time, and we don't have to be a rocket scientist to work out that clearly he's got a problem here on the first screen. We know that there's clearly an icon missing, an image missing from his application. Further, though, he's explained to us that this is not the only problem. So if that's not the only problem and there's an image missing, we know we're going to need to create a ticket. So from Mobi Control Remote Control, we push a button and we now create a ticket. And we're now inside SOTI Assist. So now we've joined the SOTI Assist platform, we actually now can go in and we can do the things we need to do to create a detailed ticket to resolve the challenges that the user in the field is having. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create and take a device snapshot. So we're just going to take a screenshot of the device, and that screenshot, which shows what the problem is now saved into the ticket as well. But further to that, this problem is a little more complex. So we're going to not just create a ticket, including the screen capture, but we're now going to record video. In this instance, we're going to actually ask the user to tell us also with audio what the problem is. So we start a recording session, and this recording session is being created again within the ticket. And the user is explaining that obviously he's got the icon missing, but also that when he does the addition of one apple and one missing icon, the maths isn't working out either. It should be a different number. So that video recording session is now embedded inside the ticket. We can replay that video recording session and see exactly what we've done so that we have that video recorded inside the ticket, and we know that we're going to be able to give that to the people who need to address the actual problem within the application, and they've got a lot of information available to them now that lets them have access to the capability to address whatever those problems are inside the application that the user's experiencing. The next thing we're going to do, though, beyond video recording, we want to be able to do more. We want to be able to get more information, because it may be that the developers who need to fix the problem have got another challenge that they want answered, or another question. So we're going to get them to draw on the screen and explain exactly what that problem is with actual visual imagery. So by being able to now, as you can see, the field user is drawing a banana on the screen, very poor looking banana by the way, but nonetheless a banana. And he's going to show us that that's obviously the first problem. But in addition to that problem, when he does the maths and he enters the plus of 99 cents, the total figure down the bottom of the page doesn't go up by 99 cents. We have a mathematical problem as well. So the help desk operators understood this problem, and he's now taken, or she's now taken, control of the solution and is highlighting with the orange box to say that this is clearly a calculation error as well. And so the ability to annotate on the screen and then save a screenshot of all of that, again, this screenshot then can be attached to the ticket. If you've got all of this information, it's pretty damn clear what the problem is. And so from a user's point of view, what else could the people to fix the problem need to know? Well, funnily enough, developers are strange people, and they'll often want to know other things about the device. They'll want to get a snapshot of what the device was doing at the time, what programs were running, what the RAM usage was, what the connection was. So they do a device snapshot, the ability to take a snapshot of what the device's situation was at the time, its battery life, all of that information. Again, all of this device snapshot can then be attached to the ticket. And finally, post the device snapshot, we can go to another level, which is the device logs. So downloading and the ability to get the device logs immediately into a ticket saves enormous time. For those of you who have supported organizations before, normally you'd have to get the device back from the field, plug it in physically, and then download a device log so that you could explain the solution or explain what the problem was and have those logs. But this way, we're automatically putting those logs into the ticket. As you can see, we now have a comprehensive picture of exactly what the problem was, what was operating at the time, what the user is experiencing, and we've got a very good picture of how to fix it. So SOTI Assist, integrated with SOTI Mobi Control, is an enormously powerful tool. in supporting field users with devices. This application that we've been having trouble with, the rocket fruit stand application, was developed inside SOTI Snap, which we've talked about. And so what I want to do now is show you how very quickly, because it's a SOTI Snap application, we can actually fix this problem. So SOTI Snap is simply a drag and drop widget-based technology. It doesn't require you to do anything other than drag fields to other places and into your application. And it also has the capacity to apply logic, which I'll show you now. So I take this image box, put the image box into the position where clearly the image is missing. And from that image box, I then go off and I select what image I want to go into that area. I go and select my images that are available on my PC. And in this case, we know it was a banana we're missing. We open that and we apply that into the location that it needs to go. A very simple fix, as you can see. But we mentioned before, we don't only have an application problem in the sense that that banana was missing. We want to be able to address the problem of the addition error that's happening. So we need to go in and we need to look at events and we need to look at the logic behind our application. And we use a tool called Blockly to actually do this. So Blockly is the logic behind the calculations. So we go into the events and we run Blockly effectively, as you can see here, slowly. And once we get into the Blockly, we can see that there is an editor and we can edit what the logic was that we put into this application. Going through this exercise, if we're now editing it, we can see that the mathematics, the calculations, if you will, are incorrect. And the reason they're incorrect is, as you can see in the second line, the 99 is missing a decimal point, should have been 0.99 or 0.99. And so we need to edit that. It's as simple as putting in a decimal point and clicking OK. Once we've gone in and we've made that edit, we then will go back to the application and we can see that that still looks okay. So we're doing an update now within the application, and then we do a preview to make sure that everything works as we expect it should do. So with the preview, we simply go in and we'll buy one more banana. We'll see that the total down the bottom is correct now at 99 cents, and we're happy that that is all correct. So we can close that preview and publish the application. We've fixed the problem, we've fixed the user's problem, and the whole exercise might have taken us 20 minutes, 10 minutes or less. That could take days or weeks if you go off to your external developer to have the problems fixed. So as you can see, the SOTI One platform is a fairly powerful beast, but it's not just those three products. So let me just touch on the rest of the circle. SOTI Insight is a business intelligence tool that provides out-of-the-box analytics. And by that I mean, I'd like to know how many of my users in the field are using what applications for what length of time. I'd like to know how my users are going with their network connectivity. I'd like to know what the battery usage on the devices that they're using are. And in that example, let me just give you an example that occurred with a customer. The customer had a habit of replacing rugged batteries on devices, or batteries from rugged devices, on an annual basis, because they had constant complaints once devices got beyond a 12-month period. So they replaced every battery on all their 1,000 devices each year, roughly. By using the analytics, by understanding better about what the actual battery life was, they only had to replace, I think it was about 300 of the 1,000. So they saved, by understanding exactly what the real use was of the batteries on those devices, replacing some 700 batteries in a year. The cost savings many, many times over the cost of implementing a business intelligence tool, as you can well imagine. Shareable reporting for the management so that management can understand exactly what's happening within and have that business intelligence. Business intelligence is a really key driver for a lot of organizations now, to understand the effectiveness of the devices they choose and to understand the challenges that their users are experiencing. SOTI Connect, as I mentioned before, gives the capacity for us to be able to manage things such as printers, but going forward, managing things like sensors and anything theoretically with an operating system we could manage. So if you have a challenging situation where an organization wants to be able to manage remote devices of any description whether they've got a screen or not, then come to us and talk to us. If the volume is there, then we'll happily work with you to look at the SOTI Connect platform and what it can do. But for many organisations, having their printers simply managed would be a great thing, because they are then secure on the network. As I mentioned, if you've got a network connected printer, it could provide access from a cybersecurity point of view. It could be a problem. So having those on our system provides great benefits, as well as automated rules and predefined actions and testing if they've got the right paper in, and all of those sort of things that come with a printer platform. SOTI Identity, the last of the sections that is actually a product, as it were, is the single sign-on, the authentication service, and the single point of entry to the SOTI One platform, which then allows for user management and making sure who's got access to what, and the authorities to have access into the various parts of the SOTI One platform. And finally, SOTI Central. The ability to be able to collaborate, to ask people questions, to share experiences. The SOTI Central platform is available to our entire partner community, as well as many end users who use it to find out information about, have you had this experience, have you seen this problem, and not just with the SOTI platform and the issues they may have with implementation and changing the way they want to do things, but it's a far broader collaboration platform that many people use in relation to, I'm using this type of device, has anyone had this problem before? So it's a really great collaboration tool. So the SOTI One platform is truly about an holistic mobility platform. When we talk about the SpectraLink devices and our partnership with Wavelink, the success we've had has been enormous in health, but there is many, many more opportunities, and we look forward to working with the Wavelink partner community to be able to find out where those opportunities are and how we can help provide a solution that is really an enabler for the partner community to be able to better serve and obviously do better business with their end user clients. The SOTI One platform is a holistic solution, and we're here to help you. And I would like to, at this point in time, thank again the team from Wavelink, Craig and the team, for allowing us to be part of the session today. And I will hand it back to Craig. I think we're going to open the floor to some questions.
Yes, so if anyone does have any, first and foremost, thank you very much, Michael, for that presentation. The true power of SOTI and the fact that this is all done remotely is just, it blows my mind. It's absolutely incredible. So if anyone does have any questions, please put them in the chat box now and we'll answer them. I've obviously listened to your presentation and talking to you for the last couple of weeks. Definitely got some questions for you, namely the reseller go-to-market strategy. So how do you play in a reseller space when it comes to a go-to-market strategy for our resellers?
Sure, and it's a really important thing, Craig, to understand. So I came into the job here in Australia 2 years ago next month, and I would say that the go-to-market strategy was a go-to-market however we go-to-market strategy, to be honest. So I've come from a background of working in both distribution and in vendor land, and that entire background is based on working with partners. So we have implemented a 100% partner strategy, and all of our business, whether we uncover the opportunity or whether the partner, or in the distribution case, your case, brings the opportunity to us, we work through and collaboratively with our partner community. There is a full and complete bid registration system that can ensure that people get a commitment from us about how we're going to work with them. And obviously we have sometimes multiple people who try and register the same bid, but managing the channel and working with the channel is a 100% strategy in this region that I run, and we work with our partners right across Australia, New Zealand, and of course Southeast Asia.
Awesome. And for any of our resellers that are on the call, if you wish to have more information around SOTI and their service offering, you can either get in touch with the marketing team, so marketing@wavelink.com.au, or directly through your channel manager to arrange a more dedicated one-on-one session with Michael and the SOTI team. Thank you for that, Michael.
Absolutely. And just on that too, while we're talking about that, we will not only do and work with Wavelink team to provide a full demonstration of any or all parts of the solution, but we are more than happy and can and do provide NFR licensing for our partner community so that they can have the solution working in their own situation so they can physically see and feel how it works. We have the capacity to do proof of concepts for end user customers at no charge. And one of our unique capabilities is because it's a cloud-based solution on most occasions, we can do on-premise, but because it's cloud-based on most occasions, we actually provide a dedicated cloud for every individual customer. And that allows us to do the proof of concept for that end user customer without needing to then turn that off and start the wheel again when they want to turn it into a production version. We can literally convert our proof of concept version that's done through the trial period at no charge and turn the tap on, if you will, when we want to make that a production instance.
That's great. That's incredibly powerful, and I think a lot of our resellers will definitely benefit from that. Just two other questions around the presentation as well. Are there any verticals that are on your immediate radar? Obviously, there's proven success, like you've spoken to with healthcare. I think you mentioned a mining example as well. Are there any verticals where you would like to focus, and our resellers that, if they are working in those particular verticals, should definitely reach out?
Certainly. So, of recent times, and with with support of Wavelink and the team, we've certainly been stretching quite strongly into the government sector, health, and others. And so in some of our countries, Hong Kong, for example, our business is almost exclusively government, which is an interesting experience at the moment, I can assure you.
I can imagine.
Government encompasses many organisations, but the SOTI platform, as I mentioned, is really designed and at its absolute best when it's deployed in a mission and business critical sector. So whether it's power, water, gas, mining, as you mentioned, anyone in that utility sector, certainly we're working with the emergency services sector in many countries. We provide solutions to those. So anyone who has got field users, and today, given where we sit in the world today, anyone who's got remote workers. Well, how many people have got remote workers? I think the answer
to how many people on this call are dialing in from home. Exactly.
So because we can manage everything from a Windows 10 PC to an iOS or an Android phone to a Linux-based server or an RFID scanner, it really isn't limited, but our strength plays out where those field users are, always or usually remote, and that is just becoming a bigger and bigger slice of the market.
I can definitely imagine, yeah. And I guess that brings me to my last question. Obviously, we're probably all in a bit of COVID fatigue about talking about it, but your entire solution obviously plays into doing everything remotely. So given the current state of the world, how do you think the conversation's been changing when it comes to mobility solutions and remote access and everything like that?
I think that's a really valid point, and you're right about the fatigue on the COVID side of things. However, we've always argued that it's more efficient to be able to fix the problem without touching the device. We've always argued that that's an enormously beneficial thing for productivity, and it always has been. But it's no longer an option. It's not an option anymore to talk about having to get the device back to the office and get someone to have a look at it and fix it up and then send it back out. All of that has gone beyond now being an option.
Sorry, you go.
It's become a mandatory. You have to be able to remotely support workers better than you used to. You have to be able to fix the problem without touching the device for all sorts of reasons. And you have to be able to provide a greater level of service without physically being in the presence or in the warehouse or in the store or in the hospital. You've just got to be able to do it. So where people said it was a nice to have once upon a time, and people would go out and they'd talk about the hardware and they'd talk about the back end network and they'd talk about the firewall and they'd talk about all those things, and then when they got the mobile devices in, they'd go, right, so how are we going to deploy these things? It's now the conversation has to come from the other side, which is, let's look at how we're going to support everything we're going to put out there, and then we'll select what the device is, because it really needs to be driven by, we need to select devices based on, we know we can support them, not select devices and then find out how we can support them.
Yeah, exactly. It's this remote access and working remotely, it's becoming the new norm. So like you said, we need to adjust to the fact that having handsets being delivered back to an office, it's just not going to be happening for the foreseeable future. So to be able to adapt quickly to a remote environment, I think is going to be crucial for any business moving forward. If there are no other questions in the chat box at this time, we would like to thank everyone for joining the event, both from myself and on behalf of Michael, the entire SOTI team and the Wavelink team. Should any of our resellers on the call wish to get more information on SOTI and their services, please contact your channel manager, or you can come to the marketing team as well, marketing@wavelink.com.au. At this time, I'd really like to thank Michael for his time and effort in this presentation. It's been a pleasure working with you, Michael. Thank you very, very much for today's event.
Thank you, Craig, and thank you very much to the Wavelink team, Nick and Ilana and all of the team who've been great supporters over the last 2 years that I've been here, and I know prior to that as well. It's
sorry,
it's really...
I was looking at, we have one question that's just come through.
Sure.
We have, sorry, it's come through a question app, so I apologize. So it's Michael from the Kiosk Group. He's very interested in battery monitoring and replacement management. Could you share some more details on battery management, how batteries can be monitored via SOTI, and if end users buy new batteries and replace their old batteries, can they find any batteries from SOTI as well? So can you do like almost battery management kind of a situation?
So, Michael, the discussion I've had with your friend and mine, Darren O'Connor, about this over many years at Kiosk, and even before that in his past life, the SOTI Insight platform certainly provides intelligence around the way batteries are performing, charge cycles, all of those sort of things. There is a number of functionalities within the Insight that you guys probably aren't utilising yet, and so we'd happily sit down and run through. You have Pushpinder, who's our ANZ sales director, and we'll happily, I know, sit down and run through the Insight capabilities. You can't still at this point in time find a battery if it's not in a device, because the battery doesn't have a brain, and obviously that's not capable at the moment. There's all sorts of discussions around how that might happen, but the reality is certainly having the capacity to monitor battery charge cycles and have intelligence around their performance is part of Insight. And that is a very, very big step from where we were with just the SOTI Mobi control. So Insight is something that I know the team will be happy to talk to you about.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Michael. And thank you for the question, Miku. With that being said, like I was saying before, thank you very much for joining the event, Michael. It's been a pleasure. And we will hopefully see everyone on another event soon. Thank you so much for your time, everyone. Take care.
Thanks very much, everyone.